What's up YouTube? This is Takadaroba back again, and this video is very long overdue. But first, let me fill you in. Over 3 years ago now, I made a video on my gaming channel about a specific area called the Dekane Mine in the Korean MMORPG Flyff for Fun. More specifically, the secrets of the forbidden rooms that lied within. The video was very well received and is one of the most viewed videos on my channel. But after about a year of that video being up, I got a comment from a user claiming to be the person who uploaded some footage I used in my video. The footage in question detailed what was actually inside of the secret rooms up close. I then confirmed this with them over email, and an entire world of history, glitches, and game test operations was opened up to me that brought this rabbit hole deeper than I ever thought it could go. In this email chain, I learned that this person was the owner of the Ms. Pilato channel here on YouTube that uploaded the Bloody Chorlippy video that I used for footage. It turns out they created a secondary channel under the alias Hidden Channel to stay anonymous from their Flyff findings as to not get banned for searching too far into these Dekane Mine urban legends. From now on, I will be referring to this person as Kre, as they were known around the game on other various forums back in the day. Kre was a part of the Ice Guild on the Lawwolf server and was an active member in the Italian Flyff community from 2005 to 2012. Of course, I must give a huge shout out to them for sharing this information with me and allowing me to use it for a follow-up video. This project would not even be here if it wasn't for the expeditions and early documentations of Kre and their companions. Their channel link can be found down in the description. Now that all of that is out of the way, let's dive into this mystery once again. Last time, I covered the lore behind the Dekane Mine and its place in the game world, as well as some urban legends and secrets surrounding two unreachable rooms that are surrounded in mystery. These both being the Bloody Chorlippy room at the end of the mine over an impassable gap, and the Forbidden Room next to the pink roach monsters with absolutely no outside access. The Dekane Mine itself has existed since the beginning of Flyff, way back in the Korean beta of 2002. There were many strange events that occurred in this dungeon that led to much speculation. To wrap up the mystery behind the second of these two rooms, the Bloody Chorlippy room at the far back of the mine was originally accessible by teleporters similar to the ones to get through the doors earlier in the mine. Access was cut off, as well as its place in the quest line, entirely due to the Bloody Chorlippys dropping high amounts of currency, a random assortment of items, and rewarding an overabundance of experience. There is no known or documented time or reason for the cutoff, other than not wanting players to exploit the monster's loot and experience gains. A simple yet extremely effective fix that left the room forgotten and mysteriously sealed off forever. While this secondary room originally had a purpose in the lore and monster progression of the game, the primary Forbidden Room, however, is the anomaly in this story, with many strange happenings. Since the creation of Flyff up until this very day, there have been countless stories and legends of strange occurrences that were found within the room using a handful of glitches to sneak peeks. The first of these instances was a sighting of the blue Meteorniker boss that couldn't be found anywhere else in the game. After a small amount of time existing in the room by itself, it once again vanished, never to be seen again. However, it gets stranger. There are some documented sightings of what seems to be an unfinished and untextured model of the Chimerodon monster before the area it was meant to be found in was ever created or implemented into the game. So, what actually lies behind this hidden door, you ask? Well, to get in yourself, you'd either have to be teleported in by a GM or attempt an exploit to get through the game's geometry and invisible walls. The most commonly used glitch back in the day was to get a small group of monsters to attack you, then jump. When you're attacked by a monster, you are able to jump again in mid-air and so on. This allows you to get on top of the pink roach room and see your first glimpse of the Forbidden Room over some broken level geometry. From there, I'm personally not sure how to proceed since the invisible walls extend upwards past the roof and there seems to be no holes to squeeze through. Regardless, some players were able to bridge the small gap between the top of the pink roach room and the Forbidden Room. Once glitching your way inside, many altars and fire pits in the form of a circle can be seen placed around a large insignia on the floor. one pedestal of which appears to have the color, spikes, and overall details that have a striking resemblance to the Meteor textures and models found in the Volcane dungeon at the end of Darken 3. From what I've gathered, this room was conceived to be the final encounter for the heroic Dekane quest, where after exploring the caves, a powerful group of players could face off against one of the most powerful boss monsters in the game. A monster that was sealed away in the mine's forbidden room for decades, attempting to use the humans' mining machinery to break itself free. One final showdown to take the continent of Darken back from the horrible monsters and machinery under the Clockwork's command when it was unearthed inside the Dekane Mine all those years ago. But sadly, this quest ending was never created or implemented within the game, therefore the Blue Meteor was eventually removed after initial testing, and the boss room lies empty to this very day. But why? Why does this room still remain here, inaccessible by normal play? Why were there so many strange sightings inside this room by players such as Kree and a handful of other anonymous players forgotten to time? Well, my theory to answer that very question is surprisingly very simple. But first, we must go back to the very beginning. In the beta of 2002 and early access of the Flyff MMO as a whole, the monsters inside this dungeon were at such a high level that nobody dared to enter and risk their hard-earned experience just for an expedition into the unknown that may very likely end in their death and loss. The creators and administrators, also known as GMs or Game Masters, had created a hidden room inside of a high-level dungeon that very few players dared to enter, and formerly part of a long questline to boot. It was an opportunity away from prying eyes to conduct tests of both visual models and AI programming. This is why the room was sealed off. This is why the Blue Meteor's initial testing was inside this room. This is why the Chimeradon model without a texture was placed inside this room before the Dead Wilderness was even created. And this is why it remains unreachable to this day. A fragmented memory of a testing ground used by the original programmers Aeonsoft before selling the game off to G-Potato, where tests were still run before adding new content to the game. After those years, it was forgotten once they were absorbed by the money-hungry publisher Webzen, who saw Flyff as nothing but a shiny cash cow. This room was the testing ground for new content, sealed away from players in plain sight and forbidden from entry. It's amazing how one or two rooms can create so many urban legends as soon as they're sealed off and left for a few years. I'm really glad I made that Dekane Mine video back in 2017 so that I had the chance to meet Kree and finally uncover this nearly 2-decade-old mystery. Thank you all so much for watching today, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any other Flyff mysteries or personal stories to tell me down in the comments. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!